The night was thick with fog and unease as the city buzzed beneath the soft neon glow of streetlights. It was just past midnight when two police vans rolled silently through the upscale neighborhood of Clifton Heights. Their target wasn't a gang hideout or a drug den, it was the Roastery, a chic, high-end cafe where the city's elite often gathered to escape the monotony of their privileged lives. Among the soft chatter and aroma of brewed coffee and exotic cigars, no one expected the sudden storm of authority that would crash through the glass doors. Sarah Alley sat at a corner table, scrolling through her phone, occasionally glancing up at the friends around her. Dressed in a casual white blouse and fitted black pants, she blended in with the rest of the well-dressed crowd, exuding effortless confidence. The 24-year-old daughter of Zubair Ali, the billionaire industrialist and owner of Ali Global Group, was used to being seen, known, respected. Her last name was usually her shield, her entry pass, her unspoken power. Tonight, however, it would be tested in ways she couldn't imagine. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. 6 uniformed police officers burst through the cafe entrance, weapons holstered but hands ready. The music was cut. A stern voice barked orders, "Nobody move. Everyone put your hands where we can see them." Panic rippled through the crowd. Sarah stood up instinctively. "Excuse me, what is going on here?" she asked, stepping toward the nearest officer. Her tone was calm, firm. "You are under arrest for involvement in illegal narcotics activity," the officer declared, without even looking her in the eye. "What?" she gasped. "Are you insane? I'm Sarah Alley. There must be some mistake." But the officers weren't listening. It was as if they were following a script. 2 of them grabbed her by the arms as her friends protested. She struggled, shouted her name, shouted her father's name, her identity, but nothing worked. No calls were allowed. No explanation was given. It all happened in under 3 minutes. Outside, reporters had already begun to gather. It was as if someone had tipped them off. Cameras flashed as Sarah was shoved into the back of the van, her face pale but defiant. She refused to cry. She refused to let them see fear. At the local police station, the reception was no better. The duty officers eyed her with a mixture of curiosity and contempt, as if they were eager to see someone from her class fall. She was fingerprinted, her phone confiscated, and she was taken to a small, dusty holding cell at the back of the station, an iron-barred room dimly lit by a flickering bulb, the walls stained with time and neglect. Sarah sat on the wooden bench inside the cell, still trying to make sense of what had just happened. Her mind raced. She had done nothing wrong. She had no drugs, no illegal substance, no suspicious activity. Could it really be a case of mistaken identity? Or was there something deeper at play? The silence of the cell gave her time to think, but no peace. She could hear faint murmurs from the officers outside, some mocking, some indifferent. She caught fragments like, "entitled brat," and, "let's see her daddy save her now." Her chest tightened. She wasn't afraid of jail. She was afraid of injustice, of being buried under lies with no one to believe her side of the story. An hour passed. Then another. No one came. No lawyer, no phone call, no explanation. But someone was watching. Inside the station, Inspector Adnan Khan had observed the entire arrest from a distance. A quiet man in his late 30s, known for his disciplined demeanor and incorruptible ethics, he found the arrest odd. There was no warrant, no backup intelligence, no documentation, just an order from above passed down like a favor. And yet, no one questioned it. Everyone had just obeyed. He walked past the holding cell casually and glanced in. Sarah sat there, hugging her knees, her chin resting on them. Her eyes met his, tired but sharp. "I shouldn't be here," she said, her voice steady. "I know," he replied, and walked on, not stopping, not exposing his curiosity too soon. Back inside her cell, Sarah clung to the one truth she had left: her father would come. He would find her. He would tear this place apart if he had to. She tried to calm herself. He must already know. They can't hide this from the world, not from him. She had seen the media outside. She had seen the way the officers seemed almost prepared for a spectacle. Someone wanted her here. Someone wanted this public. Her mind flashed to names, faces, rivals, critics, envious people in business and society who had always wanted to take the Ali family down a peg. Could this be an orchestrated move? Was she just a pawn in something far larger than she could see? At exactly 5:13 a.m., the silence of the station shattered with the screech of an SUV's tires. The doors slammed. Heavy steps echoed. And then, "Where's my daughter?" The voice was unmistakable. Zubair Ali had arrived. The heavy oak doors of the police station burst open with a bang that startled even the most seasoned officers. In strode Zubair Ali, a man whose name alone could shake boardrooms and paralyze bureaucracies. Dressed in a tailored charcoal gray suit, his silver-streaked hair slicked back and his sharp features locked in a scowl, he carried with him not just wealth, but the weight of unchecked power. His eyes scanned the station like a predator searching for prey. "Where is my daughter?" he growled, his voice cutting through the cold air like a blade. Several junior officers shifted nervously, unsure whether to answer or retreat. Zubair didn't wait for direction, he marched straight to the front desk. "Who is in charge here?" he demanded, slamming his fist on the counter. A young sub-inspector stepped forward hesitantly, trying to maintain authority, but his voice wavered. "Sir, the girl was arrested under," he didn't finish the sentence. Zubair, without a second thought, raised his hand and delivered a sharp slap across the officer's cheek, silencing the room. Gasps echoed through the station. No one moved. The officer stumbled back, stunned, more humiliated than hurt. "That's my daughter in your jail cell," Zubair thundered. "You think you can throw her behind bars like some street criminal and not expect consequences?" Behind the bars of the holding cell, Sarah watched, mortified. Her face flushed with embarrassment as she saw her father lashing out. "Dad, stop," she cried, but Zubair didn't even hear her. His rage had consumed him. The officers around the room looked to each other, unsure of what to do. To arrest a man like Zubair Ali was to invite media chaos, political interference, and career suicide. No one dared intervene. Then, quietly from the shadows, Inspector Adnan Khan stepped forward. Calm, composed, and unimpressed, he placed himself between Zubair and the trembling officer. "Mr. Ali," he said firmly, "I understand your frustration, but this is a police station, not your boardroom. Physical assault won't help your daughter. Let us handle this properly." Zubair turned to him, his chest heaving with fury. "You call this proper? She was arrested without cause, without a warrant, without a phone call." Adnan didn't flinch. "Which is exactly why I've opened a formal inquiry. But if you continue like this, sir, you'll only make it harder for her." His words hit Zubair like cold water. He paused, breathing heavily, fists clenched at his sides. Behind the bars, Sarah looked at Inspector Adnan with cautious hope. Someone in this place wasn't afraid of her father, and that might be the only good sign in this nightmare. Zubair finally turned to his daughter, eyes softening. "I'll get you out of here," he whispered. But Sarah shook her head gently. "Not with fists, Dad. With truth." The tension lingered, thick and unresolved, as silence fell over the station once again. In the dim back office of the police station, Inspector Adnan Khan sat hunched over a desk cluttered with arrest records, internal memos, and hastily scribbled notes. Unlike the media frenzy unfolding outside and the charged emotions inside, Adnan operated in silence, piecing together a puzzle that didn't add up. There had been no formal complaint filed against Sarah Ali, no drugs recovered, no surveillance prior to the arrest, just an unsigned directive that had come from above. The officer who led the arrest couldn't produce a warrant, nor could he explain the timing of the media's arrival at the cafe, moments after Sarah was taken. That alone screamed setup. Adnan's instincts, sharpened by years of dealing with both criminals and corruption, told him this was bigger than just a procedural error. Digging deeper, he traced the arrest order back to a senior official in the department, an officer known for his ties with Khan Enterprises, a powerful business group with a long-standing rivalry with Ali Global. The pieces clicked into place. Khan Enterprises had been losing ground to Zubair Ali's rapid expansion. Discrediting Sarah was a calculated move, smearing the Ali name in headlines without ever firing a single bullet. The goal was simple: destroy his reputation, sabotage his influence, and make the public question his power. It was corporate warfare disguised as law enforcement. Adnan knew exposing this would come at a cost, but his conscience wouldn't let him stay silent. Meanwhile, in her cell, Sarah sat quietly, unaware of the quiet battle being waged for her freedom. Her father had left hours ago, reluctantly agreeing to Adnan's request to avoid interfering while the investigation was underway. For the first time, Sarah wasn't being shielded by privilege or status, she was experiencing injustice as millions of ordinary citizens did. Yet, strangely, it made her stronger. She didn't cry, didn't beg, she waited. And then, just before dawn, the clang of boots echoed down the corridor. The cell door swung open and Inspector Adnan appeared. "Miss Sarah," he said evenly, "I have news." She stood slowly, bracing herself. "You're being released. The charges were fabricated. We're filing a report against the officers who arrested you. I'll be testifying." For a moment, she couldn't speak. Relief came, but so did a surge of rage, not at the police, not even at the rival company, but at the system that had allowed it to happen so easily. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Not just for getting me out, but for standing up when no one else would." Adnan nodded, eyes heavy with the weight of what came next. Whistleblowers didn't last long in his department. But justice, even in small acts, was worth the risk. Outside, the first light of morning began to seep through the station's barred windows. Sarah stepped into it not just as a free woman, but as someone changed, wiser, fiercer, and no longer just her father's daughter. The scandal surrounding Sarah Ali's arrest sent ripples through every major media outlet, social platform, and political circle. What had begun as a public humiliation turned into a national conversation about police corruption, abuse of power, and the vulnerability of even the most privileged when the system is weaponized. Zubair Ali, once feared for his pride and dominance, found himself at a crossroads. The moment he struck the officer at the station, once an act of fury and ego, was now circulating as a symbol of entitlement, but he didn't try to hide from it. Instead, he did something no one expected. In a televised press conference, standing beside Inspector Adnan, Zubair faced the cameras with his daughter at his side and said, "I was wrong. I let my anger speak for me when I should have let the law take its course. I apologize to the officers, and to the public. My daughter deserves justice, not favoritism." It was a turning point. The same headlines that once accused him of arrogance now spoke of accountability. Meanwhile, the inquiry initiated by Adnan led to the suspension of 4 officers, and legal proceedings were opened against the senior official who had authorized the fabricated arrest. The connection to Khan Enterprises was exposed, unraveling years of unchecked manipulation within the force. Adnan, though praised publicly, faced quiet threats and professional isolation. He declined all interviews, returning to his modest home, satisfied that he had done what was right, even if the system might punish him for it in time. But it was Sarah who surprised everyone. The experience of being wrongly imprisoned had lit a fire within her. No longer interested in silent charity work or corporate leadership, she made a bold announcement: she would study law, specializing in human rights and police accountability. "I want to fight for those who don't have the luxury of media attention or famous fathers," she said during her first university address. "Because if they can silence me, they can silence anyone." Her words resonated, especially with young women across the country who saw in her a symbol of resilience and purpose. Zubair supported her decision, proud not because she was following his legacy, but because she had found her own. The man who once believed in controlling outcomes now believed in empowering them. Months later, in a small private ceremony, Sarah visited the police station where it all began, not in anger, but in resolve. She shook hands with Inspector Adnan, thanking him once again. "You taught me that real justice isn't given, it's demanded, and defended," she said. As she walked away, dressed simply, head held high, there was no longer any trace of the frightened girl behind bars. She had become a force of her own, formed not by privilege, but by trial. And in that transformation, both father and daughter found redemption not just in each other, but in truth.